Good evening and welcome to Crosstalk. My name is Reverend Tom Otieno, and yes, we're talking finance bill. What a season we've had. I'm telling you, the streets are on fire. Young people are out there. And today we want to prosecute this. We want to look at, what's going on. Get to the bottom of it and say, what is the way forward for the president, for the nation, for Gen Zs and millennials who are out there in the street, the face of this protest, for the church, which has been accused and stands accused. I have a very able panel today, Reverend Dr. Alphonce Kanga, chairperson, regional chairperson, NCCK, and also a minister from the Presbyterian Church of East Africa. Karibu Daktari.
Asante sana.
We have Angie Obwaka, governance activist, HR by training. Karibu Angie.
Asante. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And we have Karimi Janet from our Siasa place. Young lawyer, enterprising, youth-led, civic tech organization, empowering young people in politics. Karibu Karimi.
Asante.
Okay, let's refresh our memories. Why are you guys so angry?
Okay, the reason as to why people are angry, and I feel like it started way back, finance bill is just the creme de la creme of the whole thing.
The trigger?
Yes, of the whole situation. It's because the president is not listening to the voices of the people. We started with the housing bill. People never wanted the housing bill. But I feel like no one had that courage of actually calling out the members of parliament. It was just a low-key kind of thing where we say, why would I be contributing a certain amount of money to fund the affordable housing bill? Number two, it came the workers' benefit injury bill that came on, where you're telling me I have to contribute, I think, 3% again of my salary to the government. I feel like it keeps on taking and taking and taking, and at the end of the day, like, he's not listening to the plight of the people. It's a bad economy, people are suffering, people are sleeping hungry. And then now came the finance bill that, like, threw everyone off the track.
So now people are starving for real?
Yeah, people are sleeping hungry. You see, the cost of living is going higher and higher, but what the government is thinking about is actually taxing, and taxing people a lot more. For instance, juzi, umesikia the finance bill, they are saying that they're starting to pay, like, the bread is going to be taxed. Sanitary towels, when we were in high school, sanitary towels, Sanigal ilikuwa inatoka 45 shillings. Right now, it goes for 90 shillings.
Wow.
I think that's why people are really, really, really mad.
Angie,
Yeah.
why are you guys mad?
We are mad because this is the final, the straw that has broken the camel's back. Yeah. We are mad because there is no accountability in this country. We are tired. We are just tired. We are tired of having people that we have employed, because even during the campaign, our current president had said, no, people who are in public office are people who have been employed, and they can be hired and they can be fired. And so we are calling them to account. We are saying, listen, we have hired you to do this particular job. What have you done? What are you doing with all the money that you've collected from us, first and foremost as Kenyans? What are you doing with the money that you have borrowed? What are you doing with the money that you have stolen, whether it's internally or externally? What are you doing with that? We are mad because we have people that we have hired, we have employed, and they have refused to show up for performance review. Pretty much we're calling them, please come and demonstrate. The finances you have, what have you done with it? The offices you have taken, the trips you are taking, where is the outcome? Where is we're calling you for a performance review. And we are mad because nobody wants to show up for that performance review, but they still want to be paid. And they want more money. Nobody wants to answer questions. And anytime they take the mic, it is to insult the people who are asking questions. They're insulting Gen Zs, calling people ignorant fools, calling people who are 19 and 25-year-old babies, saying people have not read. People are educated, people have read, people have pay slips. I am not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, but I'm also on the street. I have pay slips. I have friends, family who have pay slips, where the margin of what we're taking home is significantly lower. And where we are seeing the money being spent, it's just careless, opulence throughout, from the president all the way down. They're just wasting money, our money, and we are tired.
Dr.
We are tired.
Dr. Kanga, you are Gen X.
Very tired.
We are tired.
Why aren't you in the street?
It's wrong to say that we are not in the streets.
Okay.
First of all, let me try from what the question you have asked. Why are people angry, or what's happening now? We are where we are because lack of honesty discussions in this country. what has happened before, there has been a situation where we manipulate, dominate one another, and the end justifies the main situation, and then we gain what we want. And so it's a high time from the Christian point of view that we think critically and try to have a honest discussion, because it started, we from religious part of it, if it's the finance issue, we talked about it 2022 from our department of the NCCK. We talked about it in one of our missions. We have been talking about it. But that honesty, where things will come up so clear, and then we're able to direct one another and help one another, discuss with their parents. It's not there. And then the question is, why are we not on the streets? I think I'll not be able to say we are not on the streets. We might not be on the streets physically, but mentally, psychologically, we're on the streets. Because I don't know what you mean, because 60% of the population of the Kenyans, they are 70 now. If they're on the streets, and I'm in the house as a parent, will I sleep real that day?
No, you can't eat even.
Eating can be debated.
Because these are your children.
These are my children.
Okay.
Parents will agree.
These are our children.
So are we on the street? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
It's only that the bodies are in the houses.
The hearts are in the street.
Yeah.
Guys, let's get the facts. President is saying he's paying debt. President is saying he flies out to go and create job opportunities and create strategic partners. President is saying the bill is good for the country because there are certain things he wants to finance and he wants to get the country out of debt. That's what the president is saying. You guys have a different story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that?
You sold this type of manifesto, explained to me how the bottom-up economy is going to work. But I know the same people that you rode on during the elections are the ones who are suffering, are the ones who are loudest during this time. You want more money. You're not telling me how this money is going to be put to use. For instance, we have a budget for intercessors. No offense. Why do we need to fund intercessors with such amount of money? Another thing, you're traveling to create job opportunities. We haven't seen the fruits of this, you traveling each and every time.
He has said you apply.
We apply where? He said it was the Taptingley report actually that SP launched recently. You're telling me to tap the laptop to get the dollar. How am I going to do that?
But is there really any opportunity out there that the president has created?
Not that we know.
Really.
And why? We don't want job. We are Kenyans. We want to work in our Kenya. We have industries here that have fallen apart. Let's talk about sugar. Let's talk about any local manufacturing industries that have been run to the ground. Why can we not create jobs here in Kenya? My people are here. My relatives are here. My land is here. Stop trying to create opportunities for me to go abroad and to do other things there. Right here, right now, why can I not get jobs here? When he's saying he's going to go and borrow all of that, you know, in terms of borrowing all of that, what has been done with already what has been borrowed? That is our issue. In the previous regime, which he was part of, we might add, he was deputy president in the previous regime. Over 10 years, the debt that had been accumulated was 6-point-something trillion. In 1 year, 10 months, we are at 5-point-something trillion. What will happen in the next 3 years?
On top of the 6 trillion?
On top of the 6 trillion. On top of the 6 trillion. So even that debt, the money that is coming, how is it being spent? How is that money being spent? Organizations publish how they have spent their money. Even churches, you know, have statements of accounts, audited statements of accounts. When we see the Auditor General bringing out things, scandals that have happened with the money that has already been collected, how can we have confidence that the debt that you're saying that you're going to get for us is actually going to come and help us? And then you mentioned the thing about the budget for intercessors. I don't know, ministers, you can tell us. Do you, in your churches, just even here, ministers, in your churches, how much are you paying your intercessors? Because clearly the national intercessors need millions to be, since when? Since when? It just show us in the Bible where are we paying intercessors to be able to intercede? And who are they interceding for? Which God are they praying to? And then the thing about renovating houses. The deputy president's house that costed 400 million is being renovated for 640 million. The magistrate who was shot. 400
to build.
Yes, to build. The magistrate who was shot was sitting in an outside courtroom. They were sitting under a tent. And that's where she was shot. There was no security there for her. We can't build her a courtroom and systems which can keep her safe. But the very fortified DP's residence needs to be renovated for 640.
Let's move on.
Yes.
I think the thing I'm trying to say is there any thing that has come out of these foreign trips?
Not that we can see,
Yeah.
other than increased debt.
Including what he has said.
And then
Yes.
there's also the narrative that the government of Kenya holds so much information. Like they don't disseminate
no
information
transparency.
to the
So
people.
there is a
So even if
translucency,
there's
opaqueness,
something good,
lack of
in
accountability.
quotes, and I'm not going to say there's something good that came out of this, I just feel like we don't know. We are still in the dark as a country.
Yeah.
I think she has a point. She has a
Yes.
point. That's what I was thinking
They
in my mind.
hold information, and Article 35, access to information. I don't feel like the government is living by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had just put that down.
Yes,
that,
Dr. Kanga,
you know
yes.
what? All what my friends here are saying, it might be true or it might not be true, but it's emanating from lack of proper information
Yeah.
and structured operation. Do we have something good from the government? Yes and no. Why am I saying yes and no? Yes. Can I account for it? No, because I have no information.
Yeah.
So where there is no information, there is a lot of manipulation that will go around there, and people not be able to say exactly this is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
but- yes,
where
yes.
are we? We are coming from a situation where specific people operate in their own world,
Yeah.
but there is a group of Kenyans who seem not to have information, and then between them and the rest of the group, their people are giving false or true or manipulated information in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. There is the Auditor General's report,
Yes.
which has largely been bastardized, so to speak. You know, I mean, she's come out time and time again. In fact, there was a time she spoke and there was an attempt to remove her because of the things she said. So the things she said were not... So there's information coming, and it's not good information. I think what government has failed to do is to say for themselves, what are they doing right?
It's not just about them telling us what they're doing right, because you can be doing 20% right, but 80%, you're killing us, you're
80%
doing all
wrong.
these things, 80% wrong. It is about addressing even the 80%, because she didn't just wake up and dream these numbers. She has receipts, she has different things.
Yeah.
So tell us what you're
She's
doing
an
right.
auditor.
Yes, she's an auditor. Exactly. Hired by the same government. So tell us what you're doing right. Yes. But even in the places where we have identified corruption, we have identified exploitation and things like that, mismanagement of funds, can you tell us what you're doing to fix it? How many headlines have we had where this amount has been embezzled? Then they just tell us we're looking into it. Looking into it for 2
Let's
years.
talk corruption. Now that you've brought, you know, I don't know, you want to say something before that?
I'm thinking about what we call multidimensional approach, where information, you don't just sit on the table and develop information and throw it to me. But if I sat with all of us, with a number of us, through a particular structure operation, where we have the Siasa here, we have the preacher man here, we have this one from this department, we agree this is how we are going to manage our country. Then that will remove all these things we have on the table. Even the finance bill itself, if it's approached from different dimensions, we are able. But why are we fighting on the finance bill? Is because there is a thought line on the road is for a specific group of people. We have not been involved.
Certain people benefiting.
Certain people are benefiting.
Yeah.
But if there is a way we can all sit together and agree, the preacher man or we develop a structure that will bring all of us and agree on the table.
Okay.
Then decide the way forward.
Those that argue for government say, including the proponents of it, say they have made enough amendments to sanitize it. What's your take? Is this document irredeemable?
Yes.
Are there any good things in it?
When the question is asked about if it's irredeemable, it usually goes in the path of, amend it, postpone it. We are saying reject it in totality.
whole.
Reject it in totality.
In its entirety.
Yes.
So there's nothing good in it.
Because it has too many punitive clauses
Yeah.
and taxes that have been introduced, despite the fact that they called for public participation, but that did not translate into the document as it came now for the first reading and the second reading, etc. Because they have ignored the majority in terms of from the public participation. We're at a point where
So the proposals that came from the public,
They weren't taken
they
into
only
consideration.
shook their head.
they said, very nice, so glad that you spoke up.
Thank you, and they took the document.
Thank you very much, and took the document. So
Okay.
even the things they were telling us last week that, we have removed this clause, that's not true, because they were just suggestions that they had proposed amendments, which now they are doing in committee stage, voting for the different things, and many of them have remained inside. And so reject in totality.
And maybe to back Angie, the book of Margaret Ogola, River and the Source, it says in the opening...
Say that book again.
Margaret Ogola, The River and the Source, it says, ignorance is the mother of all distractions. And I feel like this government, what it's doing, it's public participation for ticking a box. That's when it's passed to a bill, yeah? So that when we go to court, you know, it's very easy for a bill that is passed to law to actually be like struck out if it lacks public participation by virtue of Article 10. So personally, I think the government does public participation to tick a box and then actually doesn't listen. And because wako zile za wajinga ongeeni. When you're done, I'm going to show you what I really want. That's why we act as a government.
Very patronizing.
Yeah.
From what I pick from this conversation, you people are also saying, you're also saying that the government is doing nothing to fight corruption.
Yes.
Okay, let me hear
Absolutely.
Yes.
They might.
No, that is true. That is true.
Okay, let me hear
we have not seen prosecutions to the end. You know, it will start, a few people will be interrogated, and then that will finish, and then we'll move to something else. The EACC have been trying in the last, let's say, year or so, but then the cases coming to conclusion, people being removed from office, that's not happening. We're just having people being moved from ministry to ministry.
Yeah.
You know that you are too loud here, and you did bad things here, let's move you to another ministry. As if you will change your spots because you have been shifted around.
And we're still going to vote these people back to office, the ones that stole money, like embezzled money. We're still going to vote to them to office.
Dr. Kanga, is the government serious with fighting corruption?
They might, but we need to look at it practically, best like on the issue of Mbolea. When you look at the issue of Mbolea and what has been happening, it will tell you there must be a problem somewhere. And that's what I said. Information needs to come up clear, to be clarified to all of us as a country from different dimensions. Is these things, why is this happening? But not to have a group of people. Again, the worst part of it that makes people think that there is no goodwill for corruption is when people structure, manipulate information because the end justifies the means. Then you see them walk across free. It becomes so tricky for us as a nation. But are they serious? Who are they serious? Yes, they might be serious, or we are all serious, but as a country, we need a honest discussion again. A honest discussion. And then we have the checkpoints. There is what we call measurables. What are the measurables of what's happening, of this fighting corruption? What are these measurables? If the Mbolea thing, what are the measurables? What happened in the schools? Where are we in schools? Where are we with the Standard 6? Where are we getting next year? Do we have the measurables on the table? Can the measurables come and tell us, in education, this is what it is? In the issue of Mbolea, this is where we are. This is where it is. Then we can tick those boxes and say, yes, we are serious here.
We're headed somewhere.
Okay, do you have somebody who is in jail right now? He has been convicted for stealing. Then me as a pastor, me as a preacher man, I also am not able to say, yes, we are serious. And not only this government, even when we are from the background.
All right.
I said we need to go back in the past where it started raining so that we can begin and say, let's come together and discuss.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this movement. It's leaderless. And so how do we engage?
How to engage, personally, I feel like it's something that started via social media. That's where you go back to. Before we went to the streets, the protests started on Twitter, WhatsApp, you see? That's where it started. Social media, that's how you address the young people. Because it's very easy for me to do what is going on from my device than actually attending these barazas and stuff. But online, you reach a very large number.
The president is on record. He says he wants to talk. So how does he engage? I'm not holding brief for him. I am asking for him. How does he engage?
First and foremost, we need to evaluate whether that is a true statement, a true sentiment, or it was one that was said spur of the moment, just because of what is going on.
But suppose he was serious.
But first, let me just
we
say,
address that
yes,
first.
that particular issue, because you cannot say now on national, because you have the mic, you have the audience, and say you want to converse with the young people when as soon as he was talking, that same morning, on Sunday morning, people were being abducted. Up until today, people are being abducted. You want to have conversations with people, you can even put a list and say the following people, present yourselves.
See me.
Yes, see me.
Like
the headmaster. See me at my office. Or even present yourselves to DCI, present yourself somewhere.
No,
but
come
if
in,
we are
come to
going
State House.
come to State House, exactly,
breakfast.
within 24 hours, or for breakfast. In fact, nobody will miss, especially Gen Z. What wanainama sana.
Anyway.
Yes, just be consistent. You can't say you want to speak to young people and you're abducting perceived leaders or people who are vocal about it. That is double speak. So there's no true, I can't see any sense of goodwill in that.
Okay, but I still go back. I still go back to, if he wanted
does
to
want to. Yes.
How does he engage with
the younger people?
And by the way, being leaderless and being what is not a bad thing.
Yes.
But then how do you engage? You know?
You can speak to us on social media or even on the platforms he has. No, seriously, he can have a press conference. Within 30 minutes, everybody, many of the young people in Kenya will have already listened to the whole thing and started responding. He can have his team even responding to the comments on Twitter, on X, on TikTok. People will respond there. Yes,
also something else.
Yes.
I feel like it has to come from a very honest approach. You know, because right now, I'm going to say the truth, we are past the talking stage.
We're past talking stage.
Yeah, we're past the talking stage.
So you think it's not sincere?
Yeah, we're going to talk, but how are we sure you're going to take into consideration what you say? The first thing that I think the president is supposed to do is start acting right.
I think the president means good. As a person, he means good for the country. But when we answer this question, you are saying, can he talk to the people? Let's not talk young people now. This thing is beyond young people.
Yes.
Because I'm saying my child is on the street and I'm in the house, I'm also burning.
Yeah.
So can he talk to us? Yes. It's just by declaring, let's cease this story and then begin again. If we can stand, because I don't know legally, I'm not a lawyer, but I think there is a way that we can stop this thing from where it is for the time. We pause. And then if we announce today, we pause for this story. And then from there, we retreat on the round table. And then come up with structures, how we are going to pass things. It's our nation, it's our country. It's not about him. It's not about my children here. It's about all of us. Let's pause. Let him announce today that we are pausing for the time being because of what's happening with this country. And then when we pause, then we come back on the table. As we take 2 or 3 days, let's not even use the word reject. We can even retreat and say reject. But he can speak to us and say, we begin from somewhere to reject. Let's pause.
Pause means what, Dr. Does it mean the stop the protests? What does pause mean?
Hold on with this journey of finance.
So he tells the parliament to stop discussing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Parliament, hold on, if it's constitutional. And then call the children on the table. And the children are all of us. We are his parish. This country is the president's parish. Call his parish to order. And then we as the parishioner will come in order. Then he'll ask us questions, we'll raise up hands. Church people, what are you saying? This is what we are saying. What are young people saying? This is what we are saying. So what's the next course of action? We make a decision together. Then we move forward. He can speak to us in that direction. Because right now, there is anxiety. There's frustration.
Body language here is very strong.
Yes.
You guys are saying,
I do not agree entirely.
No,
I don't agree
I
with
completely
pausing.
disagree as well.
Because Mimi reject it as a whole. And I'm going to quote a very famous Bible verse that the president loves saying, Isaiah 10, verse 1 to 4. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed.
What verse is that?
Isaiah 10.
Which he has quoted, the president has quoted.
Verse 1 to 4. And he has quoted it
Many
countless
times. Many times.
So I feel like if we approached it from a point of honesty, na ile yenye tunasemanga, like genuine intentions,
Yes,
first
honestly.
reject it.
Yes.
There is nothing like posing. Because posing is...
So is that, you're defining, you're defining the point of entry for the president.
Yes.
And saying the point of entry for him, if he wants to engage this movement, is first to reject this bill.
Yes.
Yes.
We've seen what is happening on the streets, honestly. I feel like there's a mistrust between the government and the people.
And we know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying about pause? Pausing means like this excessive use of police situation, that one should just be declared null and void. It should not happen.
Okay.
And then that's what pausing. From pausing, we got reject. Actually, with the religious leaders, we have said reject.
Okay.
But for him to reject, he doesn't wake up and just, he need to call a meeting to himself and a meeting to all of us. Then we agree on the way forward together.
I don't know what part of no, what part of reject is not being understood by the president and about the government. No means no. We have said no, and we mean no. We have not given consent. We refuse to give consent. Reject is reject. Reject is not amend. Reject is not edit. Is not postpone. Reject. This movement is not just about the finance bill. It's bigger than the finance bill. And we will continue to raise issues. We'll continue to show up where people are making decisions, where things are being raised. We will continue to get our voices heard. Because even if this one passes, they have heard our voice.
So there is a part 2.
There's a part 2, and part 2 and part 3. We're not going back to sleep. We have been awakened.
You become woke.
Yes, we are woke, properly woke. The entire country. He has made the entire Kenya patriotic and activists.
Single-handed.
Okay.
Single-handedly. Even the baddies, the soft girls, people in their feminine era, the ones who are
Sleeping
here.
dogs are awake.
If you can see Gen Z on the
Not
street
dogs
at
in a
9,
bad way, but
Gen
Gen
Z who like sleeping until 12 and boinary only.
Are awake
at
6.
6,
so that they are in town
so
by
that
9.
they're there in town at that particular point in time. He has awoken sleeping giants. People who had not voted, because we had been accused in the last election, Gen Z and millennials did not.
Which is
There was
true,
a
you
lot of
didn't vote.
voter apathy.
Yes.
Let me tell you, that will never happen again.
Okay.
Yes.
Article 1 of the Constitution, sovereignty of the people. You're there because we delegated this power to you.
But we need to know that all of us, those MPs are part of Kenya. We church people are part of Kenya. And all of us, and then the majority of the citizens, they are saying no. What are the repercussions of this? There'll be anger, there'll be frustration, and then as church people will be praying. But we need to remember that spirituality is not a reason for irresponsible behavior. So whereas spiritual we are, we need to put things on the table so that we find what's the way forward. How are we going to, legally, spiritually?
Yes.
And when we are doing all those legal and spiritual things, we need to remember that we need food on the table. And then, but we need a national discussion. There has been a narrative that the church is not speaking.
Yes,
but
that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yes,
Yes.
there has
So
been a
go ahead
narrative.
and
There has
answer
been a narrative that the church is not speaking.
Correct.
The church is a representative of the society and the whole institution in the society. And so the church operates in institutions. The church is a church structured. The structured church has been operating. Individuals might not wake up and start putting placards there, but the church as an institution has been. Yesterday, the Interreligious Council of Churches, of religion, the Interreligious Council, the body in charge of religions in Kenya, 9 bodies they met. We as the NCCK, we are members. And we went through all this. We were taken through with the professionals in this area. And we identified a number of issues. Yes, are there good things? Yes, they said they are good things. But since we are where we are, the budget was meant to bring hope to the society. And this budget has, the budget and the tax issue has brought hopelessness, especially the youngsters in the community. That's why we are saying, what's the way forward? Are we speaking? We spoke yesterday and say, number 1, reject. Is it because we hate individuals or we don't like some political line of thought? No. It's just because we are saying, because it's making you hopelessness, it has brought hopelessness on the streets, and we are losing a lot in terms of time, in terms of our officers, they're on the streets, nothing is happening in terms of our school. Please, let's say no, and then sit down and begin afresh. That is normal.
Yeah, but Dr. Kanga, I think the pushback there, really from the young people, is the senior bishops have not spoken, and they have not declared their stand.
Yeah.
The heads of denominations have not spoken, and we commend you as interreligious for having spoken, but we want to believe you spoke on your own behalf as interreligious council. Where are the heads of the churches? Why are they not speaking?
That's not true, because what happens is that a number of this organization, we belong to umbrella bodies.
Okay.
We belong to umbrella bodies. When an umbrella body has spoken on a particular issue, we expect membership of that umbrella bodies to have sat together and agreed. For example, when the NCCK speaks, it means the Anglicans, the Presbyterians, the Methodists have spoken. All the 32 member churches, the Church of God, they have spoken. Because it is those individual.
The reason why the church specifically was being called out and being silent is because of how this particular government came into power. There was a lot of endorsement from the church. And I mean, we have, I don't know, main leaders of different denominations who came out and blessed and put their hand on this particular leader and said, this is the one that God has chosen for us as a people, and led their faithful. I mean, they did not, obviously did not twist the congregants, but led their faithful to support this particular government. As soon as the government came into power, a lot of ministers were surrounding him consistently and being able to affirm and bless the things that he was doing. But with the same energy, that energy has sort of been lost now when there's an issue. And what you were saying, the heads of denominations individually came out when they were coming out against the issue of LGBTQ. But now for this one that is oppressing people, the Bible says, I think it's in Isaiah 1:17, about what God expects: to do good, to fight oppression, to defend the cause of the poor and the weak in society, which the church is responsible for. And so the church not maintaining that volume throughout is an issue. And that's what we're talking about, the church being silent. That even if the umbrella body has spoken, what about the individual leaders who speak on behalf of with the same gusto, being able to speak, and that trickling down in their at assembly level for them to be able to tell the congregants. So I shouldn't be able to find out on news that me, as part of this church, we are also subscribed to this alliance, and therefore it has spoken on our behalf. What about my pastor here, who is part of that? Why can he not tell us as congregants, this is what we are taking a stand for as a church?
All Kenyans of goodwill, it's time to stare at ourselves in the face and do that which we must do. May God bless you. May God keep you. This has been Crosstalk, and you have a good evening.